Welcome to Pioneers in Payments, where payments experts share their insights. Now, here's our host, Donna Blum.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to this edition of Pioneers in Payments. Today, I have the great pleasure of speaking with Kim Fitzsimmons from Talus. Welcome, Kim.
Hi, Donna. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yes, I'm so glad that you could join us here today. Before we get started, though, would you mind sharing a little bit with our audience about who you are, what you do at Talus, and maybe a bit of your background in the payments industry?
Absolutely. So I have been in the payments industry for, over 35 years now. I've been at Talus. I just had my 4-year anniversary last week. So it's been an amazing 4 years here. But prior to that, I started right out of when I graduated from the University of Mississippi. I answered an old school ad in a newspaper. Kids nowadays don't know what that's like, but that's how we used to find jobs. And that's where I found myself at Concord EFS. And I started out doing telemarketing, and I used to call it my little officle. Nowadays they call it a cubicle, but that's where I started doing sales. And then I worked up into a couple of different, management roles there. And left, started my own ISO back when that was in the heyday of the late 90s, early 2000s. Sold that ISO back to Concord EFS, and literally within the year, Concord was acquired by First Data. So I found myself going from running this little ISO to now being part of, the 800-pound gorilla, as it was known as. So I spent 8 years there, left and went to Cynergy Data, which was a private equity-backed company, somewhere I knew I could work out my non-compete. I had a blast doing that. Learned so very much. Left, merged it with Priority Payments, took a couple months to figure out what I wanted to do when I grew up. I never thought I'd go back to a big company, but I found one even bigger than First Data and spent 5.5 years at JP Morgan. So that's what I was doing, running global corporate clients and investment bank clients for them. And yeah, now I'm here having fun again, driving a speedboat.
That's awesome. Well, you certainly have an impressive career, and just so grateful to have you here on the podcast because really the goal of this podcast is sort of to glean insights and advice from payments experts. And I would say you certainly qualify as one.
Well, I don't consider myself an expert, but I have opinions. How about that?
That's great. Don't we all? Well, Kim, so my first question for you is, there's so much happening in the payments industry today, right? So much innovation, so much disruption. What would you say is the greatest trend in the industry today?
So, certainly it's frictionless payments. You and I, as consumers, and everybody else, we want everything fast. We don't want to even feel like we're paying for anything, right? It's that whole, buy something and you don't. It's frictionless. Omni-channel. I want to be able to interact in commerce anywhere I want to, in the store, on my phone. So that's, certainly not just a trend, but it's here to stay. I think, the new thing that kind of gets me excited is the artificial intelligence and how kind of, we're starting to see that play a part in things like risk and security. And, it's not the fun stuff, but it certainly is important to our industry. So, yeah, I think that's some of the new trends.
Wonderful. Yeah, definitely hearing a lot about those in the industry. So, with all this change, obviously there's a lot of opportunities. There's also challenges. So let's just talk for a moment about what you perceive to be the greatest opportunities for organizations that process payments today.
So, the greatest opportunity is to take advantage of the technology, really have that embedded payment experience, leverage good technology partners, even or bring it in house. Um, I think there are certain aspects of the payments life cycle that you can outsource, and there are some that you want to control. But certainly, leveraging technology is the biggest opportunity. It's what's driving this business. As well as the whole country, right? It's not just our industry, but every industry.
Let's talk a little bit about technology. So, we have all the older technology still in place, because we still have all the traditional payment mechanisms. And then we have new technology in place as we've evolved, and we have, instant payments and all that's new in the industry. So really, you kind of have these two camps, legacy and innovation happening at the same time. You also have people, right? We talked about this a little bit previously. People who perhaps speak a legacy language, right? And people maybe who are in the fintech space where there's a lot of innovation. And so, how do you merge those two worlds together in the payments industry today?
Yeah, I think that's a tricky task. So you're right. The core payments and core banking infrastructure is old legacy language from technology standpoint. The new languages, APIs, and things of that nature. So I think the legacy companies, what you're seeing, noticing is that they're doing acquisitions of some of the newer companies to kind of bridge that gap because it's difficult for them to find. If you spoke about people, it's difficult for them to find the people that can work on the old legacy systems because they're not teaching that type of language in school anymore. So they're teaching the new language. So finding those people that are bilingual that can bridge the gap between the legacy systems, the new systems, APIs. I'm not a technologist. Our technology team laughs at me because I call APIs, it's like cut and paste, isn't it? It's far more complicated than that, but finding those right people that can bridge the gaps. And I think it is the API technology, being able to integrate, bridge the gap between old and new.
Yeah, so important today. In the United States, we still have everything. In some other countries, the government is mandating that certain payment methods are going by the wayside, but here we still support everything.
Yeah, well, I always look to Europe for whatever the new trends are. You have to look overseas because it'll take, if you think about chip and pin, it took forever for it to come to the United States before we ever adopted it. And then, of course, we only did chip and SIG. We didn't do chip and pin. So, I always kind of look over there to see what's happening, but then wait. You have to
Yes.
wait 5 to 10 years before we actually adopt it here. We're a little bit tougher audience.
And probably also just the simple fact that we have so many FIs, right? So many
Right.
um, different payment schemes that it's far more complex. It's like a big ship. I know I've used this analogy in the past, but it's a big ship with a tiny rudder. It really takes a long time to make those course corrections,
It
right?
absolutely does. Because to your point, the number of financial institutions that we have in our ecosystem versus other countries, trying to get everybody to all agree on the course and the path and the direction and strategy of what, we should be doing it's difficult because they want to work together, but they're still competitors.
That's true.
Oh,
Frenemies, right?
that's right. That's right.
So, we've talked a bit about the greatest opportunity. What, from your perspective, is the greatest challenge that payments processing organizations are facing today?
We touched on it. I think it's talent. It is finding the right people that can speak that technology speak, but also understand payments. So we did a couple acquisitions last year, and through the course of exploring a number of different entities, we wanted to add to our integrated payments platform. There were so many amazing ISV vertically specific applications, but they just weren't making any money. So they didn't understand the payment side of it, which is truly where the revenue is. That recurring SaaS revenue is amazing. Private equity and the whole industry loves that because it drops right to the bottom line. You don't have interchange or anything else coming out of that. But really, the real revenue stream is payments. So it's merging that technology with the ISV SaaS based engineers and payments, and how do you make it one?
Right. So people are super important, right? And I hear all the time how difficult it is to recruit new employees, and obviously there's an emphasis on trying to maintain your current employees. So let's speak for a moment specifically about what Talus does to, to make sure that good employees stay.
Right. So I have a, core belief and philosophy, and I have my entire career, that the people are the foundation of the company. If you don't take care of your people, if you don't hire, recruit, and train and retain the right people and keep them motivated and engaged, they're not going to take care of your customers. And at the end of the day, the customers are what help you grow as a company. So there's a couple of things that we do. Recruiting is the hardest part right now. So how you compete with the, number of other companies that are out trying to find the right, the great talent. So recruiting is difficult. But once you get the right person in, from Talus standpoint, transparency, we give people flexibility, the whole work from home. We're not forcing people to come into the office. It's a purpose-driven workplace. So if you have a purpose, come on in. We'd love to see you. I come into the office because I like to interact with people. So, I'm always welcoming people in. We also are we are transparent. Like, I think communication, employees want to know, how's the company doing? What's our strategy? What are we working on? Most people don't want to just come in and do their job and punch the clock. I don't care what level they're at or what role. They want to be part of something bigger. So that's a big part for us here at Talus, is really sharing our vision, our strategy, and key priorities, and explaining to people really how what they do is critical and important to that strategy.
Yeah, I agree. You're making them part of the team, right?
Right.
Everybody is part of working together towards a common goal. So that's really
Most people
fantastic.
like that, right? It's,
Yes.
yeah.
And it's obviously working well for Talus because ISO of the year, right?
And yes, we were recognized by the ETA and Visa at the Visa Star Awards as ISO of the Year, which was amazing. We also had our job box company that we acquired in the fourth quarter of last year got recognized as a top 10 ISV. So, and a couple individuals that were also recognized as individual contributors for their roles as, industry veterans and great talented people. So we had a great ETA. It was really exciting.
That's amazing. Congratulations, by the
Thank,
way,
thank you.
and
It was
and to your
definitely a
team.
team sport.
Yes, yes. Well, and I know, you're probably uncomfortable with being recognized personally, but also one of the most influential women in payments. Again, for I don't even know how many times you've been in that position, but congratulations to you as well.
Thank you, Donna. Yeah, it is something that's not easy for me to talk about. It's the fourth time, but every time that I am privileged to be recognized, the first thing I do is look at all the other people that I'm recognized with, and it just is astounding to even be part of, such an amazing group of women.
Well deserved.
Thank you.
So my favorite question, which is kind of the wrap up question, is, from your perspective, um, what kind of advice would you give to our audience? Like, what is the silver bullet piece of advice uh, for what they're dealing with in the payments industry today, and how to move forward from here?
How to move forward. So, You know, I'd say that there's no single bullet, unfortunately, but I think there's a couple of things. Embrace technology. Um, Narrow and deep is certainly a mantra, especially for not even just smaller companies, but companies of all size. Find a niche, find that vertical, and go narrow and deep. Know it and know it inside and out. Know it well. It used to be very easy to just be kind of horizontally focused. I think a good horizontal strategy is a balanced strategy on a core base, which is what we have here at Talus. But now we're really starting to go diving deep into specific verticals. And I think that's important. Really understanding the vertical. And then I think the other thing is people. Treat your people well, treat your customers well, right? It's people, service, profit. So that's kind of the order of things.
That's great. There's the formula for success, everyone.
Yeah, well, embracing change, which
Yes.
is technology.
And it's absolutely necessary in the industry because change is here and change is coming, and so there you can't fight against it. You're just going to have to embrace it, right?
That's
Right.
exactly right.
Well, Kim, before I let you go, I want to make sure that our audience knows how to learn more about Talus and the services that you provide. What information would you like to share?
So the first thing is Talus is a fully integrated fintech platform. We serve small businesses, mid-sized businesses, complex businesses like B2B. We have a fully integrated SaaS-based technology platform that serves field services as well as other verticals. We have white label solutions. If you're a engineer and you're building out your own SaaS-based platform, we're an alternative to payment facilitators, and we serve just about any and everybody. So, you can find out more about us at taluspay.com, and you can always find myself personally on LinkedIn.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much, Kim. I just want to thank you for your time today. Really appreciate it. I know our audience does as well. And I just want to thank everybody for watching. Have a great day.
All right. Thank you.